Hello, everyone. MONERO 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Just have a sip of my water. It's Sunday, May 3rd, 2020. The title of the live stream is Uncertain Markets and World Also Provide Big Opportunities. Yeah, and what do I mean by that? I'll wait a little bit until we get more people, but generally it means that we can't lose hope and faith, and I think humans adopt. And despite the crisis we're going through, it's much needed that everything implodes. In my opinion, it's the everything bubble imploding. I think the health crisis is just like a catalyst, as I've said many times, and it's no point. I think going over what's going on and speculating who's behind it. I think we need to focus on the opportunities that we have ahead. So we've got quite a few people here already, 100. I'm a little early. I've seen there's a lot of questions about the debt, and it's interesting because I've been looking at the debt clock, the U.S. debt clock, and it's a nightmare looking at that debt clock. That's why I don't think we're gonna get hype. Sorry, that's why I don't think we're gonna get a deflationary collapse, even though there is a possibility. I think they're gonna print so much, we're gonna get a hyperinflation. Let me know if you can hear well the sound. We got Gold Brick here, looking good, matey. Yeah, it's dark here already. I guess we have to wait until probably later in May and June. We get longer days. The Fed is pumping dollars into foreign markets. Yeah, I mean they're pumping money everywhere in the central banks. They're doing swaps, and they're doing repos even for central banks. All the works. Loud and clear. That's good. Will stocks keep falling? It depends what you look at. Value stocks versus. I personally think we've had a deflation of stock prices since the year 2000. We've been in a bear market, and that's valuing it by gold. If you look at the Dow Gold ratio, it used to be in the 40s in the late 99, 2000, and now we're in the teens, the Dow Gold ratio. So yeah, I think we've been in a bear market ever since. So we are having a deflationary collapse in real money in terms of gold, but in fiat, it's hyperinflationary, and it's going to get worse. What about opportunities? I say uncertain markets and world also provide big opportunities. Well, yeah, I don't think we should despair. Like yesterday, I did my video about saying that the world is going into a really bad depression, and I think it will. But it's not all bad because if you know that's going to happen, you can try to protect yourself. Yeah, of course, you can try to help others as well, like we do here through the videos. That's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, but there are some people that you can't help them. You try to help them, and they don't want to listen, and they still think that government has all the solutions. That's one big thing I think people need to get away from, thinking that government can solve all the problems. They need to look at themselves to solve all the problems. Warren Buffett sold all his shares in aviation. I saw that. He used to hold about 10% of the big U.S. airlines. That's significant because I listened to an interview he did with CNBC back in February. He was still quite upbeat. So yeah, that's not a good sign for the economy. I think, even though Warren Buffett, he always notes that he doesn't look at the economy, he looks at businesses. But I'm sure in this case, he had to look at what's happening. What do you think about the end of the month oil action? All the tankers off the West Coast in the US. Yeah, I mean, there is speculation that we could see the same thing happen to the June contract that happened to the April contract. Uh, a few weeks ago, we went to like minus $37. We'll have to see. It's not really a market I follow too closely, but I don't think oil prices are going to be. They could go higher, but I think in the longer term they're going to go lower. There's still a gap around 40 between like mid 30s to 40. So who knows? Everything is so crazy. We could go and fill that gap because gaps are always filled in the markets and then come back down. Even though I think in this case it could be possible that we don't fill that gap. Just reality. Thanks for being honest, voice. Lots of hype. Red gold, big depression could mean significant fall in gold. No, I think gold does well actually in a depression, and it does even better in a depression. Gold did very well in the 30s. It was revalued by the U.S. Treasury. They had to revalue gold from $20.67 an ounce to 35. I know they confiscated it, but for people who were able to keep some of their gold, they did very well. What else? Mining stocks did very well. Home stake mining was up 500% in the 30s. So actually, gold doesn't do well when things are stable, when things are ticking over like they did from the early 80s to the late 90s, when you had disinflation, when the debt wasn't that big. But gold does very well when you have the danger of hyperinflation or deflation all at the same time. So I think you need to hold on to your gold. In the depression, there was going to be a lot of bankruptcies, and gold is held physically outside the system, is very safe. Beautiful day in Oregon. That's good to know. Every 1% unemployment, 40,000 deaths. Yeah, I've heard about that statistic, or that, that point a few years ago. Someone mentioned that. Hi, Silver Form. Nice to see you. Earth is flat, by the way. Yeah, that was a big meme a few years ago. I think that's not really big right now. Economy of South America. Well, it depends which country. South America is not a bad place because I think in 10 years' time, the developed world is going to go down in kind of standard of living down towards those countries. So it will probably be quite cheap to live. It is already quite cheap to live in Brazil or Argentina. You just need to find the right places. I'm originally from Brazil, from Rio. I wouldn't, if I moved back to Brazil, I wouldn't move to Rio. I would move to the south of Brazil, further south. Even São Paulo there's some nice places there. São Paulo State, uh, Santa Catarina, and further south. Argentina, I saw that Buenos Aires is one of the cheapest cities to live in the world. Jim's Ababin, I've heard of Marin Katusa, but I don't know what his outlook for gold is, so I couldn't tell. I don't think gold is going to do anything. That's the thing about gold. Gold doesn't do anything. It's these paper currencies that are going to continue to be trashed. And why is that? Well, I got my US debt clock app on the phone, and on the app you can go forward 8 years. So what do you think they're projecting for debt to GDP in the US in 2028? Well, 475%. So Yeah, it's not gold that's gonna do anything. It's the dollar, the paper dollar that's gonna be trashed. They're predicting here $72 trillion in debt, national debt for 2028. I think the only way this could stop is if interest rates spike and everything collapses, then you write off the debt. I'm not sure the US economy will be able to handle almost 500% of GDP. I'll show it to you here. Look if you can see it. I don't know, is it too bright? But I recommend it. It doesn't cost anything. US space dot debt clock uh, app. You really need to look at this, and that's why I think the biggest opportunity is having some precious metals to protect your savings. I think cash is going to be dangerous to hold on to. Right now, it's still okay, but I would try to avoid paper money. Let's see. I think I saw quite a few people here already. 340. I'm sorry if I don't see all the questions. It's too bright. Yeah, but I recommend you get that app because the website, us.clock.org, it doesn't have, it only goes to 2024. The app goes to 2028. 2024 is already pretty bad. They're forecasting like over 200% of GDP and $43 trillion dollars in debt. When should the miners be bought? I think usually it takes a few months for the increase in the price of gold to translate into the mining share prices. So I think I haven't really been following them that much, but they usually lag a little bit behind. I think they will do well, the miners. I'm not really looking too much into the miners personally. Tricky Dicky, thank you for your super chat. What subscriptions do you recommend? I heard you say you read Wall Street Journal. Well, I the only reason I subscribe to the Wall Street Journal and the FT, I think the FT is better than Wall Street Journal personally. I'm not sure if I'll continue the Wall Street Journal subscription. And it's not because I like the FT or their opinions. It's just that you get news about what's going on in the markets. I don't look at economics and markets like the FT, but it's good to get at. So I prefer the FT to the Wall Street Journal. But yeah, so I also subscribe to the Solari report. I'm not, it's good, but I'm not too sure if I'll continue that. I do like Catherine Austin Fitts, though. I've got my only physical gold and silver will slay the bullion banks. There's my mug. Uh, and then I've got at the back at MONERO 64, having some water, clear my throat. David Phillips, can you predict silver prices in a year's time? No, I can't. It's very difficult to predict markets. I think the general trend will be higher for silver prices. It's yeah, I have tried to predict it before. You get it right sometimes, sometimes not. But I would say we could get up to 30 if I had to guess. We could be up to $30 in a year's time. Even though in the real world, I think in the States people are paying almost $30 an ounce. They're paying like 25. Who do you think will be the world's first trillionaire? Well, I think the Rothschilds are trillionaires already. So, that, yeah, that's gone already. So, beware of third-party risk. That's right. With precious metals, I know I do have a referral for Glint, the Glint app, GlintPay app, and I have a little bit of gold in my Glint app, but I prefer physical. There's always more risk when there is a counterparty between you and your asset, but I think there needs to be a little bit of a balance as well. You can't if you're going to think like that, you can't even have cash in the bank or a bank card. You have to carry cash all around, and a lot of people don't take cash anymore, or sometimes you need uh, to do a big transaction, you don't want to carry a load of cash. So yeah, I think for saving, definitely physical, trying to avoid third party counterparty. So yeah, I think that's what you guys are talking about. Yeah, ECB 3 trillion of quantitative easing. They also lowered rates to -1 last Thursday. One Gold, I haven't heard of them. I've got like a relationship with Glint. They approached me about 18 months ago because one of the guys there was watching the videos. He probably still does. And but you can try it whatever you want. You don't have to try Glint or Gold Investments. I have a promo code with them as well for bullion. I think they've done a good job through the crisis when a lot of the dealers here in the UK didn't have supply. They did. Comex trading, is it safe through a crisis? Well, the problem is like in March when the stock market was crashing, I made a bit of money, and I haven't been trading since then. I did some options on IG spread trading, and I have to say a lot of times when the market got really hammered, they used to block the trading. So yeah, Comex, I wouldn't deal in Comex. But and I have dealt there before personally. But what I would do, I wouldn't leverage. So let's say if you buy one gold future, that's 100 ounces, and you only have to put, I don't know how much you have to put down, maybe 5-10% of the whole amount, the notional amount. But I would have more money in the account. I would have like 50% of one contract. So I would try to not leverage myself trading on Comex. But the problem about Comex is you have to open an account with a broker. A broker puts your money with a bank. So there's a lot of risks there, counterparty risks. So I think gold is more of insurance, and you need to hold it physically, not trade it. So yeah, I personally wouldn't. But if you're willing to lose a little bit of money, but and you could make money if you're good at trading. So go ahead on Comex. Uh, ABBA, I don't think they're ever going to raise rates again under the current monetary system. Never. I even read today in one of the Sunday papers here in the UK, they're now talking, the market, like the futures market, is predicting one hike maybe in 2025. So they'll never be able to raise rates again. In Peru, the central bank have issued silver coins, sterling silver, 925, that's sterling. Do they have 1 ounce silver price internationally? While the price of silver is quoted in dollars. So people look at the spot price of silver. Yeah, that it's the same everywhere around the world. To convert it to your local currency, you have to do the your local currency versus the dollar, and then the dollar versus silver. Financial situation in the UK just as bad as the US. Uh, I was actually reading. I was going to talk about this. Good thing you asked about that. It's in the Sunday Telegraph. It says Treasury's chief borrower rejects fears over global demand for debt. So, who's the Treasury chief's borrower? Well, he's the guy who's in charge of managing the issuance of debt by the UK Treasury. So I'll go through this here a little bit. You know, the UK is on the same boat, in the same boat as the US in terms of debt. It's going to skyrocket the debt. The economy is not going to pick up again until years from now, and the debt will not be written off. The only way it will be written off is by more and more debt, inflating it. So it says here, the man charged with raising the cash to prop up Britain's economy, not sure it's going to prop it up, insisted he would not be seriously worried if markets failed to immediately buy up, and listen to this, 180 billion pounds in gilts to be auctioned over just 3 months. So that's like $250 billion for an economy this size. They're going to try to sell it over 3 months. They're talking, and so the UK's financial situation is not good. That, the deficits are going to go into double digit like all the other countries. So yeah, that's the short answer. No, it's not good. Boris, the right man for the job. I think people should, to be honest, the reason why we're in this situation economically is not because of the health crisis. It was just a trigger. The reason is because that's what the people want, really. The people have wanted for the last 50 years everything given to them. Not everyone, of course, but the great majority. And that's what we've had. This is what the democracy has been about. It's been about wealth redistribution, inflation, and it's not sustainable. So I don't think any politician, be it Trump or Boris Johnson, they can't do anything about this. You can't wait for someone to come on a white horse and save you, because they're not. How can one individual save a system that's been rotten for 50 years? So I would not look for the government for leadership. I would look at myself for it, and try to remain self-sufficient. And I know Warren Buffett, someone said, I think made a comment earlier, that Warren Buffett looks very depressed about what's going on. I didn't listen to his, he had his usual annual meeting. He did it through, he did it online or virtual. But I listened to an interview he gave in February to CNBC. It was linked to this story because I thought that was more interesting. And one thing he said that I agree with, because they asked him, the girl, forgot her name, she was interviewing him, and about how bad low interest rates are for insurance companies. And he said, yeah, it's bad because insurance companies, life insurance companies, they promise like 3, 4, 5% returns, for the policies. And when you have interest rate at 1, they have to leverage. But he said they don't have to leverage. What they have to do is promise less. And that's what, yeah, Becky Quick. And that's what I agree with him on that, even though I don't agree with him on a lot of things. You need to live within your means. And basically that's what he said. Insurance companies, they need to change their attitude. They can't promise 3% if they can only get 1. They should promise 0.5%. So, and that's the way you have to think about it. for your own, I think, financial health and your economics, because that's what economics is in Greek. The old definition is managing your household. So you need to make sure that you get more income than you consume so you can save. Of course, the world's been pushed to go into debt. And I think that's why we're in the situation we are. Uh, Mr. JQ, do you think, do you follow Jeff Berwick? Oh, yeah, I do. Actually, I did an interview with him for my channel about 4 years ago when I was starting out. He was in London, and I went into London to meet him, and we did an interview in his hotel room. So you could look in my channel under the videos. Just search Jeff Berwick or Dollar Vigilante. You might find the video. Yeah, recently I've been listening to him quite a bit. I agree with everything he's saying, actually, about what's going on. Haven't seen some of the usuals. No here. He's not here right now. Do you think cryptocurrency could further enslave us? Yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of Bitcoin, uh, but there is a danger because it's very digital, isn't it? We'll have to see. Jeff Berwick likes Monero because he says it's a privacy coin. But anyway, Bank of England balance sheet. uh, they're not very transparent like the Fed. So yeah, you might find it on their website, but I haven't. Smash the like buttons. Yeah, that would be good. Ben Gray, hi Ben, nice to see you. Library is okay. I mean, I started using it last week. Let me tell you guys a story about Steemit. I didn't realize that Steemit, their CEO sold out the company, Steemit, his stake. So a lot of people started another platform called Hive. And someone on the live stream last week told me that I had some Hive. So I logged into Hive. I didn't even know what it was. And I had about, $1,800 of Hive coins. And at that time, Hive was at 90 cents. So I actually sold that for Bitcoin. And now Hive is around 35 cents. So I just got lucky that I got out. It could have gone higher, but that was $1,800 that I didn't have, and I didn't even know I had. It was a little bit like a birthday present. Gold silver ratio. Yeah, it's really. I think it's a sign that there's something wrong with the monetary system, and that's why gold is doing so well. Silver hasn't really kicked in yet. Silver is like a hybrid. It's monetary, but it's also industrial. But I think its monetary qualities are going to come out, and that ratio should drop. David Mancini, why is everyone freaking out? Well, I don't think people are freaking out. It's just that in February he wasn't too concerned. I think he's just realized that things are going to be worse. That's all. I'm not freaking out about it. Yeah, gold is the only real money. Well, actually, yeah, historically, yeah, but you can have other things that are money, and it's whatever people desire the most. It's the most marketable commodity. That's what money is. What we have today is not real money. The system, it's an imposed fascist how can I say, fiat, uh, at the barrel of a gun. You have to take this and you have to pay taxes with this. But if we had a free market, uh, I think it would be a lot better if governments weren't involved in the monetary system. Grain, grain is a commodity. The problem about grains and other commodities, they're not durable and they're consumed, but they could become money for a short period, just like cigarettes. They're consumed, right? You smoke them and they disappear. But they were like money after World War II in Germany. Cigarettes, you could get almost anything with cigarettes. Mobius, the gold price doesn't rise. It's the value of the paper currencies that drop. So yeah, I do expect the paper currencies to actually they're sinking to accelerate, and it could be once we break through. While the dollar goes below 1/2000th of an ounce. So when gold goes up above 2000, I think that's the best way to look at gold. Gold's at the center and everything else revolves around it. Uh, Negative base rate in the UK. I don't think the Bank of England will want to go negative. I don't think they need to. It's at point one. They stayed between 0.5% and 3/4 for a long time, but who knows? They might want to go negative, but I don't think so. Hiker nine. I do have Bitcoin. I mean, I started. I got involved in Bitcoin the first time in 2013, and I used to trade it versus other cryptocurrencies on an exchange called Cryptsy. And then I started my own business, and I was too busy. I kept a little bit, but not that much Bitcoin. But I have some. But I think it's very speculative. So yeah, you should. Personally, I'll put only how much I'm willing to, an amount that I'm willing to lose everything. No, nice to see you here, No. It wouldn't be the same without you on the live stream, No. uh, Phoenix, have you heard China could be releasing a gold-backed crypto? No, I haven't heard about that. It's possible, though, I guess. Yeah, that's right, Pablo. In a hyperinflation, everything, the currency is destroyed. So the debt is destroyed as well. That's how they pay it off. Yeah, June 12, 1776. That's why, I try to stay out of the present monetary theory or the monetary system. I try to be my own central banker and have my own standard. I hold what I think is the right thing, you know. I think other tangible goods as well are good. Uh, Unencumbered, property, land, if you can not have a mortgage. Antiques, they're not as liquid, but they hold their value over time. Even fine wine. Full of hope, losing internet connection. Is it buffering here? I don't think it's buffering. What is better value right now? Well, silver is better value, but at the same time, the premium for silver is very high. So, but yeah, all in all, silver, I would say. Scrap gold is the same price as gold. It's just it sounds like it's no good, but it's gold. So I guess if you sell it at a pawnbroker or at a jeweler, they will take a big chunk out of it. So you need to shop around, you know, go around to different jewelers and and make sure you know the weight of what you're trying to sell and where the price is, and the purity of the jewelry, so you don't get ripped off. Cost of holding physical gold, cheapest way to hold. Well, you need to shop around, or you can hide it as well. Probably not a great idea. So, but check out Glint. Glint is pretty good, and they hold it for you, allocated. Sorry, in your name in the vault in Switzerland. GlintPay. Um, yeah, but and they also do. They would also deliver it to you if you wanted to. Gold investments as well. They store it for you. I think they charge 40 pounds per ounce. You need to check with them. Gold investments as well. Um, Bond market, Donald Clausen bond market collapse. I actually think it could, Donald. Uh, and why do I say that? Even though most people seem to think right now that bonds are going to keep going up in price and the yields are going to stay low. Well, it's because when you look at the US debt clock, I was just talking about that some time ago on the live stream. I've got the app here on my phone. You should get the app because on the website it only goes to 2024. But if you go 8 years from now, it's telling me at this pace of debt growth in the US, the debt to GDP ratio is going to be 475%. And I think by then investors will have lost faith and confidence in the bond market and in the currency, and that will mean higher rates. It's just crazy. It's telling me we're going to have in the US 72.5 trillion national debt in about 8 years' time. The one, why do you think most people don't see the danger of this monetary system? Because they don't understand the monetary system. Uh, they're not taught, even at the best universities. They don't teach people what we talk about here. They just look at the money. They don't really define what money is. They don't look at the history. So people are completely blind and unaware of what's going on. They don't understand how the debt situation relates to the monetary system. They think that debt doesn't matter, especially the people who push this MMT, modern monetary theory. They're crazy, in my opinion. Jasara, yeah, I've heard of that for many years. This Jasara, some kind of reset or political change. I'm not too sure about that. People have been talking about. I've been listening to that for almost 20 years about Jasara. What is a good money system other than gold? I don't think there is. Historically, gold has been the best form of money. You go back to well, before 1971, it was the only thing really, and silver as well. But I would say, let's not have a system. Let the market create the system organically. And I think it will be gold, silver. It will even be some cryptos as well. The best thing that could happen, though, would be for governments not to be involved, even though that's a lot to ask, I think. But if people wake up and people learn about money, maybe they will demand free markets and money. Uh, See, Xavier, U.S. education system was set up by the bankers. Yeah, especially in the early 1900s with all the tax-free foundations. Um, I recommend Norman Dodd interview with G. Edward Griffin, where he talks about how the Carnegie and Rockefeller and Ford foundations, they basically changed the face of U.S. education. It's crazy what they did, and yeah, it changed a lot. The tax-free foundations. I highly recommend that video. You probably understand a lot of what's going on right now by listening to that. Let me type it here. Norman Dodd interview G. Griffin. This was in 1982, and yeah, Norman Dodd is. I really recommend that interview. All the mortgages were forgiven in Italy. I haven't seen that. That's big, big story. I'm not sure if that. I don't know if that's true. Matt, do you think buying pre 47 50% British silver coins? Yeah, it is a good idea. I have some here in my. I have a few 50% silver coins from is it 1920 to 1946. They're good as well because they have silver in them, even though it's only 50% silver. It's still silver, so that it doesn't really matter. So it's good. What would be new job opportunities internationally? Well, I think it would be related to you know education, but virtual education online like this, with Zoom or other platforms. Traveling, I think, is going to be go down quite a bit. There won't be much exchange. I think a lot of foreign students, like we've had in the last 30 years. Billy's awake. There he is. DMC, the content of this video, this channel is excellent. Are you very awake but well balanced? When my wife heard your thoughts about the current situation, it woke her up because we both respect you. Thank you, DMC. International job opportunity. Yeah. One of the reasons probably why I don't let it affect me so much is growing up in Brazil. Well, I was born in the 60s. I was lucky because my family, we were, how can I say, my dad had a good business. And so we were comfortable, but I could see all the poverty around me, all the crisis, all the inflation. But the world goes on. So I think maybe with the Americans in the UK, things have been so good for so long that people get more scared. But I think people need to be a bit calmer because it's not the end of the world. It's just a change, and you need to adapt. um, so that's probably a good strategy. Uh, El Mojo from Alabama. Hi, El Mojo. Mojo Celery. Do people deserve because they're not awake? What is the role of China, Russia, and other and follower countries in new paradigm? Well, I think Russia and China are just trying to look after their own interests, like every other country. They'll become more important, I think, as well, uh, economically. I mean, I think the debt to GDP ratio in Russia is only 19%. So they're in a good financial position. They have a lot of resources. China, not so much, but China's going to challenge, I guess, the United States. And empires never last forever. So there you go. My dad, he was my father started out uh, in the oil business. He used to work for the Brazilian National Oil Company, and he used to go to the port in Rio and make sure the oil deliveries were correct and stuff. And then from there, he started his own business, shipbroking. Yeah, he used to work. Started out in the early '50s for Petrobras, but then he started his own firm, doing the shipbroking. That's what he did, a shipbroker. That's yeah. Billy just jumped off. Do you think inflation or deflation? I think we're already having deflate. We've been having deflation in real money since the year 2000, and by that I mean like the Dow Gold ratio has gone from 40 to like 14 right now. But we're going to get hyperinflation in terms of fiat money. So that's what I see. I can't see the dollar doing well when the national debt in the US is going to be almost 500% of GDP in 8 years. I really can't see deflation. I can't see that currency increasing in value, nor any other fiat currency that's in the system. Paul Flyman, what would the scenario for gold and silver when tomorrow a vaccine is found? I don't think it will have any impact. Maybe a short term, all the algorithms are going to buy the stock market, sell gold, but the damage has been done. I mean, the debt's in the system, and they can't stop it. This thing was the health crisis is not what's causing this economic implosion, and it's it was just a trigger. This is the everything bubble we've been talking about uh, for the last few years. The everything bubble, of course, was the bubble that's been created by all the money printing, all the QE, the zero rates, negative rates since 2008. And this crisis just pricked that bubble, and that bubble is not gonna be able to be blown up again. Uh, yeah, crypto. I think Bitcoin rallied this weekend back above 9,000. It's been over 2 years, so that it's been in a bear market. But there's a lot of opportunities in cryptocurrencies. I just found out last week I had $1,800 in a cryptocurrency, and from Steam it. So yeah, you need to do your homework though about on cryptocurrencies. I've been looking at it for years. I did quite a few videos about it in 2017. I had a lot of projects that asked me to do videos for their IPOs. So I actually did that. Um, I think they'll come back. Paul Flyman, thank you for the super chat. Gaston Cruz, thank you as well. What are the opportunities? Well, what I meant by the title of my live stream is that um, we should not be paralyzed or scared into inaction just because we're hearing everything is bad and things are going to get worse. I think the biggest opportunity is going to be buying, prices are going to be more realistic because the last few years everything has been inflated and it's not real. So I don't know what you do, Gaston. What your specialty is, what your profession is, but what I would say is, yeah, it will probably be easier for you to do something that you always wanted, that you're good at, but you need to have the firepower, the savings. I don't think you should expect government to help you. You should do it yourself. So yeah, it's just that old Chinese saying, in a crisis and opportunity are like the same word in Chinese. So I don't think it should stop us from looking for things to do, and it's up to the individual. Yeah, this channel here, I don't try to give people get rich quick ideas and stuff. You need to find out yourself. Yeah, I do talk a lot about gold and silver because I think they're money, and they are kind of money that will hold their value, and you need to put your savings in there. But sometimes you need to invest that money in something that you think is worthwhile, especially for what for your what you do, and your background, and what you're good at. UK housing market, yeah, that would be a good opportunity if you're well positioned. If it crashes by 50%, it could be even more. Get rich quick, join the Fed. Well, one thing I did when I got my $1,800 from Hive is I bought, because I have a friend, an Italian friend. He knows a lot about fine wine, so I bought a few bottles of Italian wine. They're quite expensive. I haven't received them yet, so they're not the kind of wine that I'm gonna drink. I'm gonna keep them for years. So you just have to look at things. Um, yeah, no, that's right. I remember when I started out in the financial business in the late '80s, in a small uh, fund manager or private bank in Geneva, Switzerland. They did a lot of foreign exchange, and we had the Reuters terminal, and they always kept the page FX page up, and you had the major quote major crosses like dollar mark, dollar yen, cable, dollar versus the pound, Dutch guilder, Australian dollar, and then at the bottom they had XAU XAG, and I asked the dealer when I started, what's XAU XAG, and they said gold and silver. So yeah, gold and silver are currencies, and they are traded as currencies. And I recommend Bell and P's channel. Uh, I did an interview with him. Of course, he was here on the live stream last week. He's done some interesting videos this weekend about the gold market. How actually the very wealthy on the LBMA, they borrow and lend gold, so people actually make an income from gold. So, and he actually said, Warren Buffett, you don't know what you're talking about when you say that gold doesn't do anything. So, yeah, he's done some good videos about gold. Bell and P. I recommend them. Homes going negative. That also implies, yeah, abacentury. That means the equity in your home, not the price itself. So let's say you bought a house for $200,000 and you borrowed 100,000 mortgage, and then that house price drops to 80,000. So, and you have 100,000 mortgage, so you're in the red for 20,000. That happened a lot after the '08 crisis. Negative equity. That's what it's called. The price won't go negative, but the your balance sheet situation will go negative. So if you sell the house, you need to find 20,000 to pay off the loan. And if you can't, you're gonna have to declare bankruptcy. I think real estate will turn down. I don't know when. Pretty soon, probably. Miguel Torres, fast forward 40 years in the gold and crypto dominant world, in a pandemic situation, you can't just go and reprint Bitcoin, zero inflation. How would financial assistance be administered? Well, why should financial assistance be administered? uh, well, the only reason it's being administered now is that we've had this paradigm where everyone thinks government owes them everything, right? No, in that world, people will probably be better prepared financially, so they won't need assistance. And those who don't have, who are not prepared, are going to fail. That's how the markets work. What we have now is not markets. It's not free market. It's socialism. It's it's markets, and they privatize the profits, right? Companies, they make profits, they keep the profits, and when something happens like this, they want to the taxpayer to bail them out. So I think it would be a much better world anyway. And I'm not even sure we're having a pandemic, and I'm not going to go further into that. So uh, there you go. Yeah, it's all communist, socialist, all the isms. Bullion Vault, I have an account with them. I opened it years ago. I don't keep much with them. I don't think they deliver though. Bullion Vault, but I guess if you want to track the price of gold, it's okay. Yeah, we have welfarism, but we also have corporatism. It's on both sides. They do deliver physical Vincent McGowan GlintPay app. They do. I think there's a minimum of 10 grams. I do have a it's Mario Glint 79. That's the referral code that I have with Glint. If you use that when you use an account, that would help. Yeah, I saw that David Icke was banned from YouTube. I've been listening to David Icke for years. Um, I first heard of him through the Jeff Rentz show. Don't know if you guys know Jeff Rentz. He is really interesting character. Does good interviews. Rents.com. I think he's on YouTube as well now. Rents. Gray State. Yeah, I heard about that. That's an interesting. I think I listened to a little bit of it. There's another good documentary by Aaron Russo. He's the guy who produced or directed Trading Places. It's America from Freedom to Fascism. He was a friend of one of the Rockefellers, and Aaron Russo says that he was told by I think it was Lawrence Rockefeller, his friend. He was told some months before 9/11 that a big event was going to happen by this Rockefeller guy. I like UK Column News. They're good. They do very good research. UK Column News. SW subscribe to me on BitChute, to my channel on BitChute. Yeah, I'm on BitChute, Steemit, DTube, Hive, and Library now. LBRY. Yeah, it's Nick Nick Rockefeller, not Lawrence. Yeah, but Aaron Russo died like a few years after he made that documentary of cancer. You kind of wonder. Copper spots on gold coins. Well, um, not sure what you mean by that, but sovereigns, for example, they're 22 carat, so 99166 gold. The rest is copper. So yeah, but I don't really know what you mean by the spots. But it doesn't really matter as long as there's gold in the coins, unless you're a numismatist and you collect the coins. Thank you, Cav V. So I'll take a yeah, take the vaccine at your own peril. I don't know if you guys remember what was his name again? I forgot. My wife remembered it today, but there was a doctor here in the UK. They banned him because he did research about vaccines and autism, and he had to go to the US. So I've been aware of that for a long time. Dr. Wakefield. Yeah, Dr. Wake. I think he's been on the InfoWars, Alex Jones. Yeah, Andrew Wakefield. You guys should Google that, Dr. Andrew Wakefield. He did a lot of work on that, but they really went after him. The medical establishment, the government here in the UK. He had to leave the country, so he was probably doing something right. Vaccines are run by the occult in Switzerland. Well, yeah, I mean, I have family in Switzerland. My sister, I was talking to her a few weeks ago, and they said if you want to send your kids, that this has been like for years. If you want to send your kids to the state schools or public schools in Switzerland, they have to be vaccinated, and they're good schools. So a lot of people they'd rather do that than pay for a private school, so their kids have to be vaccinated. The Swiss are very. There's a joke in Switzerland that how many policemen are there in Switzerland, and the answer is 8 million. So there you go. It's a nice country though, but they're very. I mean, one advantage is that it runs very well, but there you go. Dennis Kirstens, do you have any business ideas in these times? I think it's up to the individual, not for me, but and yeah, I know I'm talking about opportunities. The title of the live stream. What I mean to say is that yeah, you should think more about yourself, your family, invest in yourself and your family, not just buy a stock and try to gamble. That's what I mean. But I don't know. I don't know you, so I don't know what you do. So how can I know what's a good business opportunity for you? It's very difficult. You need to find that by yourself. Oh yeah, full of hope. I remember the nation asked. Blair was his son Leo getting MMR and he didn't answer. Yeah, probably because he didn't get it. Actuary, you were an actuary. Well, maybe you could give advice online about your business. I mean, that's how I started my channel. Uh, I started talking about the markets and economics because that was my background. I usually used to do that with my institutional clients in the city of London. And I thought, I think the public want to hear more about how the system works. And that's how I did it. And sometimes, yeah, businesses, and I have kind of like a community now, almost like a business. But I didn't plan it. I just thought I'd try it. One thing I would say about starting a business, try not to uh, I would say, because I tried it before when I left the city in 2012. Uh, I did buy into a franchise, like a pawnbroking franchise, and I opened a shop on the high street. Don't go into retail. Do something that's not so capital intensive. Yeah. What can you spend your cash if you have a lot under the mattress? Well, precious metals is good instead of cash. Uh, Pay off debt if you have any. What else? Maybe if you have your own home, your own house, and it needs work, improve it because it's always a good investment. Gaston Cruz, thank you again. I'd love to see you and Crypto News do an interview. All right, crypto. Is that Yeah, I haven't seen Crypto News. I don't think I have a look. See you, the watcher. Thank you. Buy a caravan, yeah. DR. I think yeah, I don't think so. I think gold, as I've said before, does well in deflation and inflation. I'm not worried about gold. I wouldn't worry so much about the price because they're going to have to keep printing money or paper money or credit, and the supply is going to be huge. The supply of gold, new gold mined every year is 1.5%. So I would be worried if they were not increasing the money supply by 1.5% or more. Maybe gold might not do as well, but they seem to be in. I think they are increasing right now at a 50, well, even more than 50% rate, annual rate, the money supply. Could be a little less, but the Fed's balance sheet has just gone crazy. It's gone up more than 2 trillion in the last couple of months. All right, I'll take a couple of more questions and then I'll go because we've been here for over an hour. I try to keep it for an hour. Yeah, SW, that's a shame, especially a lot of elderly people. They have a lot of cash in the bank. Can you relate to the virus happening in March, the Ides of March being coincidental? Yeah, I mean, it could be, a lot of people, including me, think this is an engineered crisis. So, yeah, definitely the Ides of March. Mining Monero. Yeah, I know that Monero is a privacy coin, but I don't know much about mining. So if I was to get involved in Monero, I'd just buy the coin. Sorry. You're welcome, Derek. So thank you very much, everyone. If you're new to the channel, think about subscribing. I make a video every day, sometimes more than one video. So I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.